Sir, I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
small doubt
Yeah,
regarding the real founder of the Eleatic school. So,
yeah.
uh, Xenophon is the real founder.
Son of a niece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but some say Parmenides made the real foundations, though Xenophon started it.
No, 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 not Xenophon. Xenophon is different from Xenophanes. 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 Uh, he is the founder in the sense that Xenophanes himself did not belong to the Eleatic region, but that whole theory that uh, Parmenides built, that nothing in the world actually moves and that all movement is illusory, is traced back to Xenophanes. It is traced back to Xenophanes. So you have to take him as the spiritual founder of the Eleatic school. That's how you have to take him. He's not, he's Xenophanes of Colophon. Okay, so he's not somebody who's from uh, the Eleatic region, but the principles that he uh, enunciated were the ones that were used by Parmenides. So, in that sense, people consider him to be the spiritual founder in spirit. Okay. Uh, what he said was adopted by uh, people like Parmenides, and later on, Xenophon, I'm sorry, Zeno, he tried to preserve the writings of Parmenides, which is now available in fragments as the poem. So he tried to preserve. So these are the people, the three people who consist of the Eleatic school, and they. I also told you that you have the Ionian period, the Eleatic period, and the Athenian period, the three periods of Greek history, which basically uh, are the ones that are illuminated in the sense that they illuminated ancient Greece because of the kind of philosophical quest that all these three schools had. The Athenian school, of course, is Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Now, there are a lot of people who debate as to which of these schools is the most influential. Um, those who belong to the Marxist school of thought, and when I say Marxist school of thought, these are people who are actually, uh, well, how do I put it? Uh, they are not just followers of Marx, they are the followers of this body of knowledge that was put together with along with his own inputs by Lenin, and he put in Marx, Engels, his own ideas, and he tried to make it look like a consolidated and singular philosophy with no differences among any of these three writers. He wanted to take the cause of Marxism and the cause of revolution forward in that particular fashion. He wanted to do that, so he did this. So you can, if you like, you can call it Soviet Marxism, uh, this particular thing, which was, it spread around the world because I remember that literature of the this kind of Marxist variety was sold at dirt cheap rates, even by those standards of those days. I remember buying the communist manifesto, or the manifesto of the Communist Party, for about 25 paisa or something. And I remember buying uh, the Capital for about, stop it, stop it. So I remember buying that for 5 rupees or something, all the three. At a time when Penguin was selling the same uh, 3 volumes at 900 rupees or something like that. So that was a lot of Soviet propaganda. And for his own purposes, Lenin somehow thought it appropriate to present one unified uh, body of thought, which he wanted to be called Marxism. And that Marxism is very different, actually, from Marx's own Marxism. And like I keep saying endlessly, Marx never talked about, uh, he never talked about dialectical materialism, yet the centerpiece of Soviet Marxism is dialectical materialism, which is actually something that was written by, that was a concept created by Friedrich Engels, and he used it in his book, not a collaborative book, his solo book, uh, which was Dialectics of Nature. And if you actually conflate dialectical materialism into Marxism, then it creates certain kinds of problems. Problems for praxis, but we'll discuss that next semester. Let's not get ahead of ourselves unnecessarily. But to get back to the which school is more prominent, uh, the Marxists believed in materialism. Materialism here is not, the pursuit of wealth and things like that. Material pursuits is what normally we think is the pursuit of wealth and all kinds of comforts. But materialism that we find in Marxism is supposed to be the primacy attached to matter over human ideas. Okay. So uh, in because they believe in that kind of materialism, and because of the fact that the Milesians who fall into the Ionian period, uh, they advocated uh, approaching knowledge through matter, through the earth or water or whatever it is. There is no spirit there. So a lot of people will tell you that it is uh, not a lot of people, the Marxists will tell you, those who subscribe to that Soviet Marxism, they will tell you that it is the Ionian period, which is the most important. But other kind of people uh, who believe in the idea of we did this while we were doing the hermeneutics, the Geisteswissenschaften. Geisteswissenschaften is a study of those disciplines that, or those subjects that deal with the human spirit. So those kind of people favor the Eleatic school and the Athenian school. Okay, because they believe that these people were right in not emphasizing on the material world, but actually emphasizing upon the spirit that drives human society. So therefore, you find the when I was discussing Locke, when I was discussing the essay concerning human understanding, I said he changed the paradigm of thought completely from the idea-driven kind of a thing to uh, he changed it to ultimately that which became uh, positivism and empiricism, which is you see the world as being outside of you. You see the world as being something that is, what should we say? It is constituted by a number of objects, and we are one of the objects in the world. And so we need to understand the world by internalizing it through senses and sense perception and cognition. So that belief comes. But again, you have with the German Enlightenment, and to why German Enlightenment, I'm really sorry. It's actually Rousseau who started that. Rousseau is the one who goes back to the argument of the spirit. And it is because of Rousseau um, that we have the German Enlightenment, because thinkers of the German Enlightenment were really influenced by Rousseau, not just Immanuel Kant, but even people like Herder. All these people were mainly inspired by Rousseau, and Rousseau's reference to the antiquity, which somehow supported the idea of the spirit. So therefore, you have idealism in the modern form in the Germanic world. So you have Kant, who's dealing with ideas of morality. And then you have uh, Hegel, who basically says it is, what do we say, that the dialectic is nothing but an idea. It is the way, it's the ideal way of understanding the world. The ideal here is not the best, but it is simply connoting that you understand the world by taking recourse to ideas again. So you construct the world in terms of ideas. The world otherwise is intangible, it is intractable, and therefore he advocates that. And in doing so, he believed that he sorted out the mind body dualism that had been posited by Rene Descartes. He also believes that he had an answer to the triad that Rousseau had constructed: family, uh, bourgeois society, and the state. Uh, that triad, he believes that he has a more realistic explanation of the same triad, and he believes that it is through his ideas that what Rousseau wanted could be achieved. He also believed that he had found a way of resolving the antinomies that had been um, posited by Kantian thought. So you see, idealism makes a comeback in a big way during and after immediately after the German Enlightenment. But the young Hegelian movement, which started off as some kind of a tribute to Hegel, ultimately culminated in this materialism. Marx was a materialist, but he was not somebody who believed in dialectical materialism. What Marx believed was in historical materialism. And his idea of materialism uh, is materialism as a reliable source of knowledge is something that basically uh, talks about uh, you know history being driven by what he called objective material conditions. So that is the positivist in Marx, which is exactly what Habermas accuses him of. He accuses him of being nothing better than a positivist. And so it goes on. But uh, this was a very, very long answer to your question. Nevertheless, I was keeping watch on the time, and I was trying to give you this long answer because you have to understand that the importance of the Eleatic school can never be undermined. You cannot say it wasn't important. And the founder, the spiritual founder of that particular school is Xenophanes of Colophon, and he is somebody who set the tone for the entire system of thought that later came first from Parmenides. There's no doubt that Parmenides is the most representative of the Eleatic school. He's the most representative of it. But you can't say he's the founder, because that particular original idea came from Xenophanes.
Yes, sir.
So I know you must have thought, there he goes again, but doesn't matter.
No, sir. This
I
was
was
required.
sorry.
This was required.
Yeah, I just wanted you to know what the implications are, and they come right down to the 20th century if you're talking about Lenin.
Right.
Yeah, so that is why I spoke about it at length.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for clearing that up.
Thank you. So to get back to good old John Locke, we were talking yesterday about we stopped at this particular juncture where we were talking about his social contract having two, what should I say, having two levels. And I was also trying to tell you, why is it that there are two levels of everything in why are there two levels of everything in Locke? Why are there two levels of what do we say, the state of nature? Why are there two levels of the social contract? So please remember, this is the most important quotation from, it's not a quotation, this is an idea. The quotation is over that horse. I'm not going to go back to the grass that the horse bit and all that. Those I'm not returning to, but I'm definitely returning as a starting point to this idea that we find in Locke, which says that all human beings are rational, and in that sense they are all in that sense they are all equal. Let me put this word in total capitals. Okay, all human beings are rational, and in then that sense that they are all equal. But he doesn't stop there. he goes on to say, this does not mean that all human beings are equally rational. He's not saying that. He says some are more rational than others. So I told you the question that we should ask ourselves is, why is it important for Locke to make the first statement? If you read the second statement, then it seems to be that the first statement is redundant. Now, if you want to establish that rationality is a universal quality of the human beings, then he could simply have said, all human beings are rational, but this does not mean that all human beings are equally rational. Some are more rational than others. He could have said that. But he chose to say all human beings are rational in the sense that they are, and in that sense, they are all equal. Now, he's saying some are more rational than the others. Then how are people equal? How are people equal? Okay, so that was the question. The question, the answer to that question, which I gave you, was that this is an important formulation for Locke, since he has to demonstrate the equality, which again I'll put in equality of beginning, right? So the question is, why does he have to say that there is equality of beginning? For that, please recall the metaphor of a race. A race is fair because everybody participating in the race gets to start at the same time. Okay. Olympics are on. So if you see the Olympics, or if you see any of those IAAF events, which I get to see because I must be the only one who watches Doordarshan Sports, because Doordarshan Sports shows some amazing sports. Uh, it shows, for example, table tennis, which is a game that I love, and I consider myself hugely lucky to have been in Delhi, uh, living in Delhi at the time when the World Championship of Table Tennis was held in the Indraprastha Indoor Stadium. Okay, and that was a good 20-kilometer, 25-kilometer journey that required me to change 3 buses, but I used to do it. And I went to watch that championship. I went every day, and I got to see the 2 favorite players of mine. You know, it's a very funny thing how we develop favorites. I was, for example, absolutely crazy in my youngest memories of life. When I was really small, I was devoted to Sunil Gavaskar. And I don't know how I got it, but I actually got a photograph, not something uh, printed in a paper or anything. It was a proper photograph. And I had put it prominently in my cupboard. And I must have told you this story. I keep telling the same stories again and again. Uh, my dad used to say, as soon as I got up, he used to say, did you go and pray to your God? So there was this time when I was a mad Sunil Gavaskar fan. Okay. If Sunil Gavaskar hit 1 run, even that was a great thing for me. And I used to know statistics about him just like that. Even today, I know one statistic that he's the only opening batsman in the world who was out first ball 6 times. Was out first ball 6 times he was out. The only opening batsman. Okay. No other opening batsman was out as many times as he was. Anyway, so then when I at least this you can understand, because this guy is an Indian cricketer, and he was a legend. And whatever people may say, he didn't play for himself, which is what Sachin Tendulkar did. Gavaskar played for the country. So anyway, so then when I started watching when I started playing table tennis, I used to read. I don't know from where I used to get these books, but somehow I used to get these books to read, probably from a circulating library. And I had read about Stellan Bengtsson, who was a Swedish player, a left-hander, and he spent 1 year in Japan preparing to be world champion, and he became a world champion. So I went through this phase of being an almighty fan of Stellan Bengtsson. And then came the time when I became a fan of Eric Lind. I don't know why. And in those days, nobody showed us these sports. All we got to see was some pictures in some books or in newspapers or sports magazines. So I became a very big fan of Eric Lind, uh, another Swede. And then immediately after Eric Lind came this probably the greatest table tennis player ever, whose name was Jan Ove Waldner, Jan, Jan Ove, Ove, Waldner, Waldner. Waldner was, I think, world champion some 20 times or 22 times. So you can imagine. Now, I used to go there and watch because I wanted to see every match that involved Eric Lind and Jan-Ove Waldner. Of the two, Eric Lind was still my bigger favorite. One, because he was a left-hander, and left-handers have an amazing grace in anything they do. I don't know what it is. The grace that left-handers have. One of my favorite left-handed batsmen was Surendra Amarnath. Surendra Amarnath's stroke playing was so perfect, but he was inconsistent. Same thing with Eric Lind. So I got to this, and then there was this international athletic federations, IAAFs, races in the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, for which I went. And I saw Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson before Ben Johnson was disgraced. Yeah, I'm going off. That's what. No, it's not Mohinder Amarnath. Mohinder Amarnath is a right-handed batsman, a right-handed bowler. His elder brother, search, whatever, tak, Surendra Amarnath. Their father was Lala Amarnath. Sir, in history of any kind, I'm very strong. I'm not boasting, but not Mohinder Amarnath, Surendra Amarnath. Mohinder Amarnath was a right-handed batsman. Surendra Amarnath was a left-handed batsman. Incredibly wonderful to watch. I haven't seen such a stroke player in my life. If he played a drive, it was like poetry. It was absolutely like poetry. Anyway, so I started seeing the athletic events and gymnastic events. So you see, even now, if you want, if there is a start, now I'm a Usain Bolt fan. At one time, I was a Carl Lewis fan. And you see, even if somebody gets 1 millisecond ahead, then you're made to start again in the race. That is to ensure fairness. Even that millisecond can make a difference. So if somebody started a millisecond, then you restart. If you watch either MotoGP or Formula One races, if somebody just moves that little bit, he gets a 10-second penalty, time penalty. Okay. Why? Because you want to ensure that everybody gets equality of beginning. Everybody should get equality of beginning. Now, what is John Locke's purpose? The purpose that John Locke had was to prove that all inequalities are natural and not socially generated. So, if all inequalities are natural, then you have to establish an equality of beginning, no? So, yeah, if you take Usain Bolt, all right, Usain Bolt runs better than anyone else that I have seen. And he's this great champion. He probably can start 1 second behind everyone else and still win the race. He's got that kind of natural ability. Now, the other people who are participating in the race also have ability to run. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been there, would they? Now, the fact that they are there, is indication that uh, they can run. They can run, they can compete, but not all can win. So for a race, it is easy to say, start the race.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, poverty also one type of inequality, no, sir? Is it natural or social?
We are getting ahead of ourselves. Poverty is not natural. Okay, though Locke will try to argue to the contrary. If you attended my classes on Rawlsian liberalism when we were doing political ideologies, I told you that poverty cannot be considered. Not only it is, I was quoting Rawls, a liberal who said, where is the equality of beginning? He said, where is the equality of beginning? When people are born into poverty, then obviously they are already born into a disadvantaged situation. Where does he get to run the race? Where does he get to run the race? So he doesn't get, so obviously poverty is a social thing. And this particular principle of, that everybody should have equality of beginning is something that was dealt not just by John Rawls, but also by John Stuart Mill. Okay, the early Mill in the sense that very early in his life, Mill was a lot more, John Stuart Mill, that is, not James Mill. John Stuart Mill was a lot more of a revolutionary, and he did not believe in inheritance. Okay, so someday or the other, Mukesh Ambani is going to kick the bucket. Okay, we all know that. It may be 30 years from now, maybe 20 years, we don't know. But assuming that he has kept his wealth, and I think he will, he's too smart. He's not a dumb fellow like his younger brother who squandered the head start he had been given in life by his father. And but Mukesh Ambani himself didn't build from scratch. He built on the inheritance that he got from his father, Dhirubhai Ambani. And somebody living in a slum, will he get that kind of a beginning? So John Stuart Mill was seized of this problem, and he believed that there should be no inheritance. He first proposed a very radical idea. He proposed a very radical idea that there should be no inheritances at all. Okay, everything should be taken away by the government. An estate, if it was left behind, it should be taken over by the government. And it should keep it with it till such time that somebody can pay for it by working for it. It could be a new owner, or it could be the old owner's legal heir. That is the idea he proposed. But that was too radical. I mean, taking away a property is something that people will definitely question and not agree to. So he suggested very heavy taxation. He suggested very, very heavy taxation. Okay, where you had to pay what was called an estate duty. And in order to inherit that wealth, you had to pay as per what was envisaged by John Stuart Mill. You had to pay about 50% of that money as your what should I say, as inheritance tax. 50% of the value of whatever you have inherited. Now, this is something that is followed even today. Okay, for a long time, there was an estate duty, even in India, for a very long time. After all, we were a British colony. So we had estate duty, but the estate duty was abolished because people said that, you know, why should we pay money to get what is rightfully ours? Now, this house in which I live, it has a lot of history behind it, which I don't want to tell you. One, it's a waste of your time. Two, it's a lot of my family nonsense. So I don't want to get into it. This house was supposed to go to various people, but they all died before the grand matriarch of the family, who was my grandmother. So whatever she had willed became null. So my father inherited it. He was the sole survivor. He inherited it. And, you know, for 1 year before he died, he used to tell me, be prepared, be prepared. Initially, I was wondering, what is he saying? Then I realized he was talking about his dying. And then one day he sat me down and he said, when this house comes to you, don't look at it as money. Okay? He said, look at this house as, look at this house for yourself as what Charminar is for Hyderabad. Can you sell the Charminar? You can't. Now, this house was built by my grandfather. He didn't live for very long. He lived for 4 months or 5 months after he built this house. Other people have taken advantage of it. I mean, people like us. Now, frankly, this thing is in my name now, the house. Though I'm not able to get the water connection, electricity connection, the bureaucracy is just too horrible to even talk about. But this is in my name. And I have an ongoing feud with my wife, who believes that I should give this for development and then we'll make money. Because a lot of people think that I'm rich, which I'm not. I'm not rich at all in any sense of the term. Even in its most diluted sense of the term, I'm not rich. So she says, why don't we give it for development? And I keep telling her, this is what my dad told me. But apart from what my dad told me, if I think about it for myself, how can I even consider this house to be mine? How is it mine? I didn't spend any money into the building of this house. So how is it my house? All the people who coveted this house have died. They coveted this house and they all died. And for me, that is a lesson. Don't covet this house. Don't covet this house. Those who coveted have died. So I don't see this as my house. Okay, it has to be on somebody's name and it can't be on a dead person's name. So it's on my name, but it's not my house. It is my grandfather's house. I'm living in my grandfather's house. So this inheritance thing is something that is a serious issue, a very serious issue for all liberals. For all liberals, if you get a head start in life, how are you going to justify that as equality of beginning? How will you justify that? You can't justify that. So sometimes my wife says, I don't know, you've made a temple out of this house. I said, yeah, it is a temple for me. Absolutely. This has got nothing to do with my putting even one brick. So why will I think this is my house? But yet, and I have no children. So my mother says, we should make a trust. I said, you make it into a trust and the trustees will get corrupt and all, but that's a different story altogether. I don't want to go there now and talk about my rubbish. So the thing is, Locke wants to prove that inequalities are natural and not socially generated. For him, that proof was possible. That proof was possible because When a new system is coming, when a new system is coming, where the old system is dying out, the old system was not generating social wealth anymore. So everybody was impoverished. Everybody was impoverished. And when the new system was coming, those who had the acumen to seize opportunities, to see opportunities, they did better than the others. In management parlance, there is this acronym called OTS. What is OTS? OTS is opportunity to see. So management believes that there are opportunities to be seen, and if you grab those opportunities, if you look around carefully, then something will come to you. That is one of the principles of management. In my department, for example, everybody has a godfather, or they have some other trump card that they can play. And they have all therefore done well. I don't have a godfather. The department is almost hostile to me. But I saw the internet as something that can basically change things. So just took a shot. I went into all these various networking sites, and when I was tasked by the then Vice Chancellor to do something so that we could get the tag of university with potential for excellence, I put in a lot of work, and we got that. We also got a center for public policy and governance. And at that time, TISS came to Usmania University searching for a partnership, and the Vice Chancellor had no clue what they were asking for. So he told my head of the department. Fortuitously, I was at the arts college then. So the head of the department said, look, Satish, why don't you just go and take care of this? None of us is understanding what is it that they want? What are we supposed to do? So I said, listen, I don't mind doing it, but there are all kinds of naysayers and people who will point fingers at me. give me a letter. Give me a letter saying that, and I want it from the VC, a letter that says that I am to take part in conversations with these people from TISS. So I took part in conversations, I negotiated, we signed a memorandum of understanding between the two universities. Then we signed a memorandum of understanding between the department and TISS. And TISS, their idea was that if we are doing a memorandum of understanding, then we'll split the workload. We'll split the workload. And their idea was that our department will take on the part of the workload, 50% of the workload that was there for the courses that were going to be launched. Now, as soon as this proposal was put forward, everybody said, how much are we going to be paid? We want transport allowance. We want this, we want that. Nobody was willing to teach. I told the director and the deputy director of this, I am willing to teach. I don't want any extra money. I don't want any transport. I don't want anything. I'll, like you said, in the spirit of the memorandum of understanding, I'm willing to teach. I don't know about the others, but I'm willing to. It was just that which saw a few days later my getting an invitation letter to set up the School of Public Policy and Governance in TISS, Hyderabad. They said, join us. So I went on lean, as it is called, LIEN, which means you go and work for another organization with the permission of the organization in which you are. And in our entire career, we are entitled to 5 years of lean, where we can go and work somewhere else with the permission of the university, of course. So that happened. And then LinkedIn was coming up. So I took to LinkedIn, started building my profile on LinkedIn. And I found offers of different kinds coming to me. All kinds of offers, which I didn't take because I couldn't leave Hyderabad. And I have this, I consider it a great distinction of having been sent abroad, not by some godfather, not by somebody who rigged something for you and sent you abroad. I have been sent abroad by my students. working in various capacities. These students were from Nizam College, the early batches of students that I taught. So they are the ones who sent me abroad. I didn't ask. I didn't ask. So you'll have to look at it like that. Then I started uploading my papers on academia.edu. I don't know what they saw in my papers. I really don't know what they saw in my papers. But the MD of academia.edu, who is also a professor at the University of California, San Francisco, Zach Foster, he sent a letter to me. And he said, academia.edu is conducting a pilot project, which is to give opportunity to people to lecture to students, not on mainstream topics, but on those topics which are not mainstream. And then I went and saw my papers. None of my papers is mainstream. You can also see them. Go to academia.edu, search for A.V. Satish Chandra, Osmania University, you'll get to see them. None of them are on, they are not conventional papers. So they said, please prepare a preview video of 90 seconds and send it. I said, okay. I sent it. They said, oh, great, you sound great, you sound lovely. What can I sound in 90 seconds? I don't know what it is. But anyway, so they're asking to do something about it now, which is run a course. So shortly I have to start those recordings. And because there's a date for that. So therefore, I just made use of these, whereas our people have remained kala akshar bhais barabar. People don't know how to operate basic things. They don't know how to put a profile. So you see, this is an equality of beginning. When all these things are coming in, when you are willing to explore them, when you're willing to explore them, it basically means that you are showing greater acumen to try and understand what these new developments are, and also to try and leverage things for yourself. I didn't ever think that academia.edu will start classes, and of all people from whole of India, that's what they told me, you're the one we selected. That's what they told me. Okay, out of nowhere, I have got a Lifetime Achievement Award, APJ Abdul Kalam Award. So after getting the award, I asked those people, how did you get my name? Because they sent a regular postal mail to the department headers. I said, how did you get hold of my name? Who told you that I did anything? Then they said, no, there are a lot of people. You don't know. So I'm assuming it is some student of mine. I'm assuming that. And then I got that thing in, it's an international organization. 2 international organizations have given me their membership, and one of them made me speak made me a plenary speaker. Okay, a plenary speaker is an academic speaker. A keynote speaker need not be an academician, but a plenary speaker is the one who sets the tone for the seminar. So this was a webinar, international webinar, and I was made a member of this uh, organization called Eudoxia Education, which is headquartered in New York, New York City University, actually. I don't know how they got my name, probably through LinkedIn. I don't know. And then one day, lo and behold, I open my mail and I find that somebody sent a mail saying that we have chosen you as an eminent fellow member. Chosen you as an eminent fellow member. And this is called Scholars, Academicians, Scientists Society or something like that. It is present in 95 countries. I got the mail. So now I can write, after my PhD, I can also write SCFM. It is like writing FRCS. So just look at it. I mean, I am a great believer in the universe. The universe had this grand plan for me, is what I believe in. Grand plan of getting these things. But I showed some initiative in trying out all the new things that were emerging on the digital medium. Because the digital medium is where things are happening. I learned which are the useless ones, which are the useful ones. So that is what you need to understand. And so many times I've given you the example of Bangalore and Hyderabad with the setting up of IT and ITES offices. Opportunities galore. And with apologies to all pro-Telangana people, with full apologies to pro-Telangana people, all you have got in the name of a state is one big pile of rubbish. I would have liked to use another word which starts with S and ends with T. I would like to have used that word. Go check out the ITES. Not one person. Today people say teach in Telugu. Teach in Telugu. Who's giving you jobs in Telugu if you do things in Telugu? Who's giving you a job? Nobody's going to give you a job. Nobody's going to give you a job. All the ITES posts are filled with people from Calcutta, from Madras, from Bombay, Pune. These are the places people have come from. Delhi, sorry, forgot that. They have all come from there. Show me 5 Telangana people there. There's nobody from Telangana. Not even watchmen are from Telangana. They are Biharis and Uttar Pradeshis and all those people. We got Telangana. What did you get? You have that gold mine and you can't do a thing about it because you don't have the skills. The skills are missing. You don't want to develop them despite seeing that. So Locke is not being purely cunning, though there is a very big component to his thought which is cunning. He's not being purely cunning when he says that rational people are those who have made something out of their lives. In every batch of students that I taught, I have found 2 to 3 people who think that I make sense. They have taken my advice. I told them there is no substitute these days to learning. If you take outstanding grade and show to somebody, that guy will think, wow, you are fantastic. So let's see. And if he asks you to write an essay, I think I told you that Google story. They were conducting a GMAT kind of a test to recruit people. All the people from Andhra, they're damn good at maths. They were doing wonderfully, but these people needed an ITES service in Hyderabad. The IT service is small. The main service is ITES. They need people who write English. So I told them, if you're going to put MCQs, how will you judge if this fellow can write? So Roy Gilbert, the Chief Executive Officer of India, he asked me, what should I do? I said to give them a topic and ask them to write 500 words. If they write that well, give them another topic and ask them to write 1,000 words. They still follow that system. None of our people are able to write. People from other cities are doing it. They are coming and taking the jobs here. So what did you gain? I remember one day, one lady telling me completely out of context, for 60 years, we have been fighting for for a separate state. Okay, you got it now. Show me what you've done. Show me what you've done with your life. Show me what you're going to do with your children's lives. What are you going to do? So you see, this is, and at the time, the teachers of Osmania University were telling students during the separate Telangana agitation not to attend classes and fight for a state and for their future. What were these teachers doing? They were sending their children to neighboring states for uninterrupted education. And after that, they've sent them abroad. They've sent them abroad. While those who fought are still sitting and saying it's 7 years. Why is Chandrasekhar Rao not giving jobs? And every once in a while, this wily politician will say 50,000 jobs are coming. People are okay, 50,000 jobs are coming. So you sit back, you wait. Then you realize not 50,000, even 5 are not coming. Then you'll make a noise again. No, nothing is happening. Then he'll again say something. So many times this has happened. So, yes, there is accident of birth and all that. But even today, what Locke says stands. And people are fighting for posts by paying lakhs and lakhs of rupees. They are still not recognized as academicians. They're not recognized. I had only this thing, that if I have to be recognized as an academician, then I should have the qualities of an academician. If I have the qualities of an academician, then I will be recognized as one. So when new media came, I made use of it. But again, I don't take full credit for it. There is the universe, which is all powerful. The universe is more powerful than all of us put together. Whoever said the whole is greater than sum of all the parts, that's a great thing, great saying. And that applies to the universe.
So you mean nature, huh?
No, I mean universe. Brahmandam.
Can't we
Brahman.
say nature?
Nature is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The Brahman is the all-pervading spirit of the universe. By the way, Vishnu, Krishna, and Shankara, they all mean not people, not somebody with 10 arms, 14 legs. No. They mean the spirit that permeates this entire cosmos. The whole cosmos, all the galaxies that you don't know of also. So the universe is a living system. So Locke is not wrong completely. And in his time, you can say he's completely right, because there is equality, there's chances of equality of beginning. There are chances of equality of beginning. And I can never forget that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jack Nicholson. He's gone to dig for gold. The gold rush that happened in America, on which even Charlie Chaplin made a wonderful movie. And this One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jack Nicholson is digging, thinking that he'll find gold. There are people standing, watching, and when he doesn't find the gold, they laugh at him. So he asked them, "Why are you laughing? At least I tried. What if I had found gold? What if I had found gold? I would have had it. You wouldn't have had it." Very true. That's a very, very true statement. So the whole idea that Locke is trying to say, inequalities are natural and not social, is basically to justify the accumulation of private property. And in order to say that, he has to say that all human beings are rational, and in that sense they are equal, because equality of beginning. That is it. If other people are more rational, and some are not rational enough, that's not anybody's fault. That's what nature did. That is how there is a cunning, but there is definitely a cunning in Locke to justify private property. But you cannot say that whole thing is cunning. You cannot say that the whole thing is cunning because of the simple reason, that there is a truth in what he says. We've had an opportunity to see it. We've had an opportunity to see it. In my time, you're all millennials. We are called Generation X. As Generation X, we have seen the most number of transformatory changes in society. And every time there has been a transformatory society, those people who could recognize that there is a transformatory change taking place in society, and those people who could do something with that are the ones who have benefited. Luck plays a role, no doubt about that. Luck plays a role. That is what I meant by the universe. Universe has a say in everything. But you have to try. You have to try. There's a saying in Telugu, they say you can't put a light in the wind and say, let God take care of it. You can't put a lamp in the wind. Obviously, the wind will blow it out. You have to do your best to protect it from the wind. And if you've done your best and if after that nothing happened, then okay, bad luck. But you can't say bad luck without even trying. So to that extent, yes, he has a point. So I'll stop here. And Madam Padma, you have disappointed me. I thought you'll come to my rescue when Akshay Podishetty has told me that it's not Surendra Amarnath, it is Mohinder Amarnath. I thought you'll come and say, you're a cricket fan. I thought you'll say, yes, Akshay Garu. Yes, sir.
No, sir, but what you said is correct, no?
No, what is Akshay putting his hand up for? Yes, Mr. Akshay. Who said correct, Padma?
You, when you said Surender is a left-handed batsman.
Yeah. And he used to write Surinder, Surinda.
R-I-N. Yes.
I muted your mic. No, sir, I have not. No, I have not muted. Anyway, I think you need to go to your class. We'll talk about this later. So see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Right.